Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you find yourself, and welcome to another welcome to the weird, wild, wacky world of Edessa. Does Edessa have a longer name?
Edessa the Dark Crusade.
Thank you.
Season 2.
Edessa the Dark Crusade, season 2. Now without Sean Bean, apparently. So this evening's scene is going to take place at Hoyat's Bazaar just after the sun has set, about an hour after twilight has set in. So there will still be merchants and other individuals crying their wares. After all, they need to make at least a handful of silver dinar for their day's labor. And oftentimes you can get the best deals when it is the stranger folk walk abroad. So, Lucien de Chambern, having recently returned to Edessa from Jerusalem, stands in the marketplace. He's not a very tall man, probably only about 5'7", 5'8". He has his hand on his hip. He's dressed in elaborate white silk that covers his chainmail and gambesson, the silver mask reflecting what light remains from torches and lamps flicking onto the ground. Clearly, his entire array of clothing is of the highest quality and make. And he will be casually waiting.
I'm just going to take that cue to mean that they're supposed to meet up. Run. Monica's going to turn on up. Right on up to the bazaar. Very similarly to the picture. The main difference is she is wearing a hijab right now. She absolutely would. Also, I can't find any pictures of this woman wearing a hijab, if any. But she comes on in. She is wearing definitely not common clothes, but definitely not the finest either.
Very calmly.
I assume that.
Oh, sorry. Continue, Tim.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm assuming that that Lucien himself kind of stands out a little bit.
Oh, yes. The mask itself is rather indicative. He's also, every inch of his skin, with the exception of his beautiful, pale green eyes, is covered. So none of it, you can't see skin from his hands. Everything is completely covered.
Alrighty. Yeah, Monica will start to approach this dude.
He will very casually turn as he hears someone approach him, and he will incline his head very slightly, and he will say, "Good afternoon, miss."
She will do a little curtsy herself. She will respond. She definitely has a, I guess in this point you would call it Castilian accent. For those that may not know, Spanish accent. Respond. Good afternoon.
He will look her up and down, and he will say, and he will say to her, "I just have to make sure of something." Cool. He will look her up and down very calmly, with those very, very, as I say, striking eyes, and he will say, in Spanish, "I'm going to assume via the accent that you are from somewhere near Granada, perhaps."
She will respond in Spanish. What's a ways off, but not very far.
Where are my manners, mademoiselle? My name is Sir Lucien de Chambern. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
I am Monica Cortez, and the pleasure is all mine.
Where are my terrible manners? would you care to take a seat? We may find somewhere to converse properly, no?
Of course. Please be my guest.
Very casually, he will walk to one of the outdoor, more than likely pseudo eating slash coffee, a place where you can smoke shisha and get coffee or whatever else have you. And he will seat himself and he will look up. No, sorry, he will gesture for her to take a seat first, of course, as that is the polite thing to do. A gentleman should always sit after a lady, etc.
Yeah, she'll go in and sit first. Seems like she's pretty used to these standards.
He will also take a seat and he will say, "So, how long have you been in Veridessa in that case, Miss Cortez?"
I have been here for quite. I was originally here on very personal errands, although the tumult that is over in the city forced me to expand my path.
Oh, for the record, Tim, this character has quite a lot of clan status. If we want to just do the whole kind of hand wavy kind of, pseudo, "Are you what we think you are?" Yes, are you what we think you are, malarkey?
I'm fine with that because that I always get that. Just
Cool.
like I have to check for a pulse. It's like, oh my, look what non-existent breath you have.
Yes. He will lean back in his chair and he will say, "So, I'm curious. It has been some great time since I have last been here. The plague and my business keeps me away, as it were. How fare the clan of the Scholar within the city proper?"
Out of character, I don't.
Hmm?
Out of character, I don't actually know that.
Okay, then just say that you're very new and you are newly arrived yourself and don't know.
Yep. Yeah, no, Mongo. Yeah, Mongo will just say, as much as I would love to give you information pertaining to this, what I simply lack the knowledge.
Oh, of course. My apologies. I have been told many disturbing things since yesterday involving hunters and infernalists. It is most grave. It seems as though God himself has decided to smite a judgment upon this city.
It's is sad to know that they've learned nothing of the results of these consortiums and infernal pacts.
I am more worried with. He will look out over the city and he will casually say, "There are so many lights that have been put out. I assume this is by the casualties from the plague, but cities like this with death, destruction, human misery, this is the breeding ground for places where people will turn to darker powers, or indeed, cadres of these hunters will form. Something must be done in order to bring light back to the places where now shadow rules."
I believe I have a bit of a personal project that may be a bit helpful with that then.
Oh,
You have heard of the area known as Riverside, yes?
I am led to understand that it is unfortunately been, how to phrase, given to the dogs.
Yes, I have gone in to survey the situation and hopefully try to remedy the misery that those that cannot protect themselves are enduring.
So, now that you have walked the streets there, what is it you have to say on the topic?
I have seen criminals, robbers, and violent. I think I'm back now. Did you hear any of that?
You said violence, something, 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 because it kind of broke up after that.
Okay. I have seen violent criminals, those that have organized for simple protection money, slaver gangs. There is no one that is left untouched by the tyranny of those to come to baser things.
What about the city guards? Do they not intervene?
I imagine they would if there were city guardsmen.
I see. I am sorry to hear this. What is your plan as it pertains this area?
I'd like to, at the very least, demoralize some of these gangs, if possible, teach some of their leaders a thing or two. But people live there to rise up and defend themselves. There are more than there are of these criminals.
Exactly what I was thinking. The people there require, how to phrase, they require training, they require arming, and then they themselves can take back what is theirs. Do you agree?
I could definitely say that is an ideal solution.
For the record, he's going to have ordered food for the table. Otherwise, just to kind of make it look like they are enjoying a meal, because it's just easier that way. So he will say, indeed, out of place. I think that this is an excellent step. He will say, if you can provide Miss Cortez, or sorry, he wouldn't say Miss, he would say Signore or Signora Cortez. If you can provide the people in order to form this little band to resist these looters, these pillagers, and these slavers, I would be more than happy to provide them with the equipment needed in order to liberate themselves from this mire. After all, swords are not cheap.
No, they are not.
He will look down towards Riverside. I don't think he can probably see it from where he's sitting, but he will say, the problem is that place lacks hope. It is often best to rekindle hope. Do you not agree?
Hope is oftentimes the first step.
One could not agree more with this sentiment. And now the Brujah have done all the Brujah things that they need to Brujah. People can feel free to do that trickling in thing that they do so well.
Some people are less prone to trickling than others. I, however, shall trickle, sort of.
Trickle!
I'll say at the very least, especially as seeing as you're looking at the direction of Riverside, and I find it fortuitous. As they're, sitting, having their meal, having their conversation, there are, people going around doing their shit like they do on any given day or night. And among them, they'll see, scampering around between people's feet, very carefully, dodging stalls, dodging people, is this little dog who is very enthusiastically chasing a rat. A very unfortunate rat. This rat's days are numbered. He's fucked. But yeah, just a point among all the other shit that's going on. Whatever other animals and beasties and people there are. Here he be. The one, the only, Alonso. Yeah, tearing ass through a crowd of people after a rat that... Oh, his fate. His fate is sealed. And I figure I give you guys an opportunity to come in if you want to. Just point of interest. Alonso is there. Oh, wow. In his wake, moving at a quick pace to keep the dog in sight, but not especially hurried or fussed when he darts around corners, is this girl. Not well dressed by any means. Definitely wearing stuff that looks worn, tattered, stained, maybe washed, but still stained. But yeah, kind of haphazardly thrown together. This, my friends, is a picture of poverty. This girl is falling behind, and while much like you would expect someone to encourage an animal by yelling this or that after them, among the other encouragements in the languages more appropriate to this region, at least once or twice in Spanish, she will call out encouragements to Alonso, essentially like, get it! As she's trotting along after, looking perfectly happy. Meanwhile, the dog will eventually corner this thing, maybe against a wall, maybe against stairs leading up to one of the buildings, and take it the fuck out. Yeah! Go Alonso! Best boy.
Tiny Ratter Dog is best Ratter Dog.
He is best Ratter Dog. You don't even know. He's the chief ratter of Odessa. He has a medal. Huh. He does, too. I'm not even fucking around. But yeah, this will be happening in the background.
Okay, just sort of for my edification, where is this at?
The rack.
Okay. More specifically, like just chilling on a street side somewhere?
We're sitting in kind of a street side shisha bar.
Okay. So, along those lines, eventually, probably coming from the opposite direction of Mina, is a resplendently armored individual who is standing a full head above most of the other people that are around, if any, but certainly about 2 heads taller than the person that is beside him. And he seems to have an air of aloofness about him. And yeah, he will simply glance over to his compatriot, who can introduce himself.
Yeah. Alongside this resplendent-looking individual is somebody who looks to be the antithesis. He is cartoonishly thin. As far as the make of him goes, he's dressed in a lot of dark colors. Almost seems to, I would say, the light almost makes him kind of shimmer from his neck down to probably about his knees, from his coat that you can tell. He also wears a it looks like a like an alabaster stitched mask, resembling that of like almost like a bird. So your atypical like plague doctor's mask. And he has a cane, and he shuffles alongside Gerard, and they seem to go back and forth unless you have really acute hearing. But you can hear them trade a few words here and there, remark about some of the wares that some people or the merchants are selling, and this individual will probably even stop abruptly to check out maybe some herbs or something that might have caught his interest, and then kind of just makes a small remark and just tosses it back on the like the basket or wherever that was containing it, deciding not to proceed any further with any kind of exchange of currency for the goods. And yeah, he eventually just looks over at Gerard or this individual as well, the much more extravagant looking one, and just says with a very thick Turkish accent, I would assume. You guys are probably here by now. He just says, I don't believe I've asked how you were doing these nights, my friend. You're here with the promotion of sorts that you're quite busy these nights. How is all that going for you?
I think he disconnected because the picture is kind of blank, so that's generally an indicative sign of dropping.
Womp, womp, womp. So you just hear wah 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 wah.
If it helps, the Lucian is very amused watching the adorable Ratter dog.
Oh yes. Once once he sees this dog, he will slowly shuffle his way towards it, as if he's almost familiar with it.
I mean, Alonzo chill as fuck for the most part. He has mangled this rat, and is midway through ever so proudly doing his little prancy paws back through, back very carefully again around people and whatnot. He seems to have the good sense to not get stepped on, but is doing them prancy paws to bring his glorious victory back to his handler, and that is all well and good. I imagine the Merchant of Bones does stand out with that mask and whatnot. It's kind of distinct, which is comical because there will be a point where this woman, is still looking on as this dog does his thing. He's obviously a ratting dog. He's doing his job real good, and she looks so proud, so pleased. And she sees this guy reorient and start following the dog. And there's that brief flicker of, fuck my life. There's no other term for that particular expression. It really is just the fuck my life. Because let's face it, she hasn't been around for a while, and these two have such a darling history together. So wonderful, so heartening. It's like the stuff that fairy tales are made of. Definitely didn't golf putt her through a ceiling.
Yep.
But yeah, there'll be the fleeting expression, and there will be definitely some internal debate on whether it's like, I could just go. I could just no, fuck it. So she'll stay offside of the foot traffic, the better part of it anyways. And as the dog comes in and drops the rat at her feet, we'll crouch down and, as one does with positive reinforcement, just ruffles his head. Those giant ears flop all over the place. Ruffles up his head, his cheeks, his neck, encourages him happily, coos to him in good Spanish mostly, actually. And we'll eventually snag up the rat, and reaching into a pocket, we'll snag out like a little like gobbet of meat to flick him as a prize. But naturally, like the classy bitch she is, she'll end up pulling out your classic little utility knife and stand up and casually gut this rat and start, kind of prepping it like hunt and kill style, goes to pull the hide off and start reducing it to chunky bite-sized kibbles to refresh this little pouch of prizes. So have blood leaking over her hands and whatnot as she glances up to see if Merchant of Bones is going to follow through on his walkies, because god damn it.
Oh yes, so much that he is pretty much he's not too close to her, but because he knows that Alonzo, I guess, I don't know, does he still get freaked out by anybody else other than?
I mean, Alonzo probably, especially if the Merchant of Bones is keeping close enough, he'll eventually dart around behind her ankles to finish gnawing on his prize. But he doesn't seem to have any issue with being around her ankles.
Okay. Well, either way, once I'm assuming that you're kind of leaning down or squatting and gutting this rat on the street, pretty much.
Once you come closer, she'll go ahead and stand herself the rest of the way up and offer just the disrespectful bow of head, but continue flicking aside the offal into the gutter and just shoving little gobbets of meat into this.
Cant of the head? Is that what you said? Did you say disrespectful cant of the head?
No, a properly respectful.
Oh,
not disrespectful.
I was like, oh,
no,
okay.
I am not going to give him the finger because that seems like a terrible idea. No, she gives him a respectful little, that polite, bob that's kind of this could be a curtsy if I wanted it to be, that most people do in passing, and, bobs her head down. But keeps at it as you don't want to talk to me. It's fine. I'll just keep doing this. It's like putting on your headphones and hoping.
Oh, God. Hang on. Tib, have you come back yet?
He's dead.
Okay. Because if it becomes clear that this guy is going to go over and hassle a woman...
Oh, no.
I was just going to say, Path of Chivalry's tripping. I must stand.
Nah.
I must prevent.
She's not looking that agitated. She's just oh, I'm so busy. Don't mind me.
Yeah, the Merchant of Bones, from out of his coat pocket or inside of his coat, pulls out a small handkerchief and hands it over to this woman, the woman that's protecting Alonzo as Alonzo moves behind her, and he just says, almost was it jovially? He just says, I see Dus's chief ratter is hard at work once again. May I ask, are you one of the owner's friends, or?
And she decides in this moment that lying is only so profitable, really. So she kind of glances up, and as the handkerchief is offered, considering that she now has, rat blood on her hands, it's just so endearing. She'll accept it, and as she, shoves a last couple pieces of this now thoroughly dissected dead rat into her little waxed pouch of goodies, we'll accept it. Again, polite bob of the head, using it to clean up where the stuff is dripped down her arms, clean her hands. I am his keeper tonight. Tosses him up just the edge of the grin.
I see. This seems to be the case with Alonzo. He always seems to be passed off for some ungodly reason. But he's still diligent in his duties. I guess that's all that matters. Yeah?
Well, after all, if he is so skilled that the skill of the handler doesn't matter, he could be followed about by any old person, couldn't he?
I guess so. Maybe I should ask to take him for a walk or two.
Eyebrow kind of quirks up, like, really?
Well, the nights are fair, and still a lot of Odessa to take in, despite all of the problems it might be suffering from.
If you were so interested in having a companion of your own, he does have a brood. And after all, who wouldn't want to pop off the chief ratter of Odessa? Grinning.
Yeah, I guess that's it's an opportunity there, perhaps. I'll have to consider it more. Do you have a name? Do you have a name?
She'll do that thing where she kind of looks at him like, you're gonna make me make you know what, fine. And she kind of,
if you're gonna play the fucking game, you're gonna play the fucking game.
I know, she's just being a brat about it, because I mean, she's not pretending this time that she's not herself. So she kind of looks at him and does that little like glance up, like, which one do I pick, essentially. Why don't we use Luciana again? I like that one. It's pretty.
At least you're being consistent.
Just a touch. Just
there
throw
is
things
a
off.
certain satisfaction with consistency. Do you mind if I treat Alonzo much as I did last time?
Be my guest. She will look down, and again, she uses Spanish commands. We'll command him to sit, and we'll sidestep from in front of him so that he doesn't like immediately scamper again. And he does. He plops right down on his little butt, glancing at her, glancing at the Merchant of Bones, glancing at her like, Mom, why?
And
giant ears.
He just turns and looks to Gerard. Are you back, Gerard?
Maybe. Somewhat.
Having some technical difficulties.
And he just says, would you like to have a seat at the stall over here? Perhaps enjoy some conversation and the food. He knows it's kind of empty, but I'm trying to get us over to the Bruja. Wink,
yeah,
wink, nose,
she
nose.
yeah. She will respond with what is recognizably a Mina display of respect, which means that she goes into a bow that has been just horribly mutilated. The why not add some flourishes over here, and it's over the top, but that is just how she do. But she'll be like, well, of course, good doctor, and scoop up this poor dog, who is looking kind of akimbo at Merchant of Bones, because he does not have an offensive. Why you do this to poor doggo? But she will scoop up Alonzo in the midst of this like ridiculous bow, and kind of gesture like lead on, essentially. Still holding this bloodied hanky, using it to get the bits from between her fingers. Delicious.
For his part, Gerard has not even noticed Mina this entire time.
That is beautiful. You keep doing you, man.
And so he's just going to look at Merchant Bones and just nod and make his way over to wherever it is Merchant Bones is pointing.
Yeah, and it just looks like they're all moving in slow motion as as he shuffles over there, probably keeping them two back if they decide to walk along with him in perfect sync, like some Baywatch run across the beach. But yeah, they go and they find a table right beside our masked fellow in his fine silks and the woman accompanying him. And this is probably kind of weird for a waitress or whoever's serving us because we look like an eclectic bunch. But yeah, he'll gather, petition the waiter, or whoever, to come through and provide them with several cuts of meat and some wine or something to drink, something. And yeah, Merchant of Bones will take a seat too. Probably sitting on the outside, on the fringe side though, just because of his inability to walk as the rest of, or like anybody else. Excuse me.
Very calmly, as the individuals sit, Lucian gives a inclination of the head, acknowledging that they exist, because it would be rude not to. He will look to the doctor, and he will, because obviously a doctor, via the plague mask, and he will say in the French accent, "Ah, good afternoon, doctor. I hope you are well this evening."
And he just brings up a gloved hand to tap at his chin under the beak of the mask, and he just says, "How well am I today? Well, I couldn't be better if I had perfect sense. Thank you for asking. How about you, sir?"
Oh, I'm still, how do you say, brushing the dust from the road from my boots. You understand?
Well,
Edessa is so beautiful, a jewel of the Mediterranean, and yet it is so saddened that I am to see that your particular craft was so in need whilst I was gone.
so sad. I don't know if I would see it the same way, but I guess it's appreciated. It's hard being a doctor these nights, I would have to say. But I do relish in the opportunity that Edessa has brought. What brings you to Edessa, if I may ask?
Oh, I was here a long time ago when it was the city first. How would you say in English? Or how would you say? Because English is not the language we're using. When the city first fell, I was here in order to see what my eyes could see, and then I deigned to make my home here. However, when the plague overtook the city, I was in Jerusalem, seeing to business matters, and decided that it was better for me to remain there where I would be safe and my household would not need to suffer the ravages of disease.
Wow, that's very fortuitous timing there, and also a smart decision. I hope that you and your family is safe. well, your family is safe for the most part? Is Jerusalem still untouched by the plague? Hello?
Oh, sorry. He will say, did you get my answer about Jerusalem, or did it mute me before that?
I think it muted you before that. I'm sorry.
Okay. He will say, Jerusalem stands as if it is protected by the hand of the Almighty. No pestilence has come there. But where are my manners? My name is Sir Lucien de Chambord. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, monsieur.
Ah, Lucien. It's nice to meet you. You may just call me Adam for all sakes and purposes. I believe it's easier that way. I'm not one into boast title or really care about such.
I find that when one introduces oneself, it is always best to put whatever foot forward that you wish to have placed. But Lucien is also fine when it comes to addressing me. Formalities are, after all, only when one needs to be formal.
I wholeheartedly agree. How do you feel about that? And he looks to Gerard with the nose pointing at him, like, it's your turn to speak.
Gerard sort of quirks a brow at Adam's question as though he is being led, and Gerard will simply shrug and say, I'm Gerard, second of his name of Tours, Sheriff of Edessa. At your service.
I see. How
And well
interesting. So you are Saladin's appointed sheriff.
Indeed.
Oh, are you? Wait. I'm sorry. Never mind. Forgive
Okay.
me.
But basically, for perspective, I think Saladin is still alive. There was a bit of a kind of a miscommunication. My character doesn't know you're vampires, and you just openly used a vampire term to him. So his response was, "Are you a human sheriff, aka one installed via the current ruler of the secular land?"
That's what I was kind of confused about. Yeah.
You know what? It's been a long night. That makes sense. Sometimes we forget ourselves.
Don't worry about it, dude. I'm not going to be that bitch. I am happy to do that wonderful hand wavy thing where we will introduce ourselves as vampires, because honest to God, if we had to do the tap dance while some of us are thinking about turning on Auspex, the scene would just be far longer and more complicated than it needed to be.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm going to activate Auspex. Yeah, no, you're good. I'm sorry. Continue, please.
Just, I mean, for the purposes of this, we could just say he didn't introduce himself as sheriff, just Sir Gerard. He is a knight after all.
So am I, but that's all good.
Indeed.
He will extend his hand to Adam to shake.
Yeah, he'll extend his hand as well, and you will tell his hand is quite thin. Almost bone thin. It's almost as if you're grasping a skeleton's hand, even though it's quite thickly gloved.
That's fair. His hand, as I said, all of his skin is covered with the exception of the eyes, and you can kind of get, because he does blink, you can tell that the skin as he blinks is horribly burned. Thus the reasoning for the mask. And he will extend his hand to Gerard as well. You're like, hello.
He will take it.
He will shake your hand. It is a pleasure to make. Oh, my apologies, mademoiselle. It is a pleasure to also make your acquaintance.
And just to check, does literally anyone else at this table have an inoffensive?
No.
No.
Yeah. I didn't think so. No. Okay. So Alonzo has been propped firmly in her lap. So there's an arm around him to either side. She's still idly, rubbing his chest, rubbing his sides, keeping him chill. And she'll glance up. She looks amused because she's blown Auspex, neener. And we'll glance around to make sure there's no one close enough to hear as she offers a hand across to this gentleman in the mask. And in fact, I'll say that she's plunked next to him, so she doesn't have to stretch across anyone, because that is just rude, and everyone here outranks her.
He
But
will take the hand, and he will lean as if to kiss it, but obviously with the mask he won't, but he will make the gesture to do so.
Oh, don't worry yourself, sir. I'm only a fledgling. Just grins, big toothy smile. Keeps it very quiet, so it's not like Kine are going to hear, but still just like, hey buddy, I see your shit.
Actually, in that case, if we will do formal introductions, my name is, as I say, Lucien de Chambern, also known as the Knight of Thorns, Ancile of Clan Bruja. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, mademoiselle.
Oh, pleasure's all mine. Tonight I am Luciana, but I am Yasmina Varela and fledgling of Clan Malkavian.
Oh, my apologies. I've been monopolizing the conversation from my charming acquaintance. Tim, are you back?
Oh yeah, I've been back. Marcus.
I was going to say, have some introductions, yo.
Oh, there we go. Upon being like actually like addressed now, she will curtsy to the whole squad and say, "It's a pleasure to meet all of you. My name is Monica Cortez, neonate of Clan Bruja."
It's a pleasure to meet you all. I guess it is time for formality after all. After we gone through the the song and dance, so he'll just lean forward, both his hands on the cane, and he'll just rest his chin upon it. He just says, "You may call me officially the Merchant of Bones. I am Ensel of Clan Cappadocian."
And I'm Gerard, Ensel of Clan Ventrue, Sheriff of Odessa, so on, so forth. The pleasure.
And like that, I
is
dropped
all mine.
4 blood into and like that, I dropped 4 blood into strength.
Oh shit! I didn't know it was that could be that kind of scene, man.
This is already a party.
Anyways, but yeah.
For the record, I am pointing out I am totally doing that.
Oh shit!
That's legit, I guess.
Continue. Venture is a trigger word. Continue.
Actually, can I get a perception empathy on Lucian? Because I know.
Yeah, you can if you want.
For his part, Gerard does not look phased at all, insofar as who he is dealing with.
Oh, I just saw your thing, Katie. Yes, vampire. Also, kind of mad. Always an undercurrent of mad.
What, Bruja? Just undercurrent of mad? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost as if
all Bruja kind of have that underlying kind of anger that's underneath even the calmest serenity.
Oh, I know. That's why I was being sassy about it.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, so we can just kind of pick that up from you guys automatically?
I threw like 4 success, read the soul at both of them.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
That's why she introduced herself as a fledgling.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't see your roll until I checked the thing.
Yeah.
For
me, for example, I am generally serenely calm, so I've got a lot of blue, but there's still that underlying current of red.
All
Gotcha,
right.
buddy.
I've got 3 on P&E. How's Lucian feeling over there?
He's not angry, or any more than he normally is. He just views that. If anything, his contemplation is excitement.
It's gonna be that kind of scene, Vaughn.
I guess so. I'm glad
Let's
I'm
get
row to
it.
bones. I'm glad I'm row to bones. I don't care if I die. Fuck it. I'm dead already. Yeah. At the mention of Bruja and Ventru together, they're kind of on the opposite ends of the alphabet there. They don't really get along. Yeah. He just kind of cuts his glance between the both of them, though. He does find a little relief though, and Gerard just keeping the I give no fucks attitude, and then but still kind of keeps his gaze finally on Lucian, though it doesn't look like antagonizing or anything. It just looks more introspective. But yeah, he just kind of takes a moment to himself as he does his own Auspex thing.
Cool.
So yeah, continue with that one, please.
Welcome
Lucian
back.
will,
Oh,
Lucian
God.
will lean back in the chair, and he will say, "Keep the covenant, bind those who rebel, glory in those who fight and win. Keep strong swords about you always, and sharp eyes at your back."
Words of wisdom.
Indeed. They were the meditations given via, well, that is an old story, very old stories. My apologies. As I said, I am freshly returned to Edessa. It was unknown to me your position, my Lord Sheriff. It is again another pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Welcome back. Much has changed since you've last been here, I would surmise.
Ah, yes. Yes, when I was here, the city was filled with lights. It was vibrant and filled with hope. And now, with the plague, and I hear rumors of devil worship and other darknesses that gather. It seems to me that the city faces turbulent times.
And more every day. Why, just a few days prior, I had to end some foul devil spawn stalking the streets, murdering mine. A four-legged beast with gifts of the blood. Very strange. Darkness abounds in this place now. You must watch your back.
Oh, I think that in many ways I am incapable of making sure that my back is protected. However, if you wish information on what it is that you may have killed to arm yourself better, I possess a great collection of books and objets d'art that may be of use, if that is you would like the information, of course.
Perhaps I might take you up on that.
By
I do
all-
appreciate your hospitality in either case.
It is all about the small favors. As you say, I am freshly renewed here. It is better to make friends than headbutt with those who have similar, how would you say, walk a similar path.
Hmm. And what of you? He says, looking at the young Bruja. What sort of path do you walk, I wonder?
My lord, I will be sure to let you know once I have realized myself.
Ah, that is a wise answer. I am surrounded by wisdom this day.
Eyebrow quirk.
the strangest places sometimes.
So you said you have an abundance of books, Lucian?
Oh, see, yes, that is what I do. I have been trading in ancient books, writings, artifacts for a very long time.
Hmm. It's very
I
similar to the.
possess. Hmm?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I possess many dozen of the finest volumes that I keep for myself, and the rest I trade both in the Middle East and in Europe.
Hmm. So it seems you follow the ways of a almost what was it, warrior scholar? I heard such rumors before of your clan. Is that correct? Like, I guess OC Old Bruja or whatever. But
Oh, I was
I
just
am.
gonna.
If you don't mind, I might like to peruse what you own, if or what you keep, on stock that may be opened for trade. I myself fancy um, the same books. I keep a fair collection of my own, though I haven't recently felt the need to loan them out, so to speak. But depending on what you have, I might be more than willing to share. But that's neither here nor there. We can perhaps discuss this another time.
So, why for some reason my internet decided nope. Um, yes, sir. He will say to the Baron of, or what was it, the Merchant of Bones. Yes, I keep some of the rarer volumes for myself, but the remainder I sell up and down the Arabian Peninsula and to my buyers in Europe. That is the reason I was in Jerusalem. I was buying some of the more esoteric components that are needed for various different members of my clientele.
Hmm, I understand. Interesting.
If any of you have a cult influence, he has an app because I assume people who have influence kind of know other people who have influence. This character has a crap ton of it.
Wow. Okay. I think he might actually recognize that then, having two or a fair amount of his own.
That's fair. Lucian has either 4 or 5. I'm not looking at his sheet at the moment. I can check in a second.
Wow. Okay.
So if you like, basically, if you needed books, arcane scrolls, old objet d'art, bric-a-brac, historical artifacts, he can probably find them or get them.
Okay. I will have to keep that in mind. I have not ran across anybody else with such connections as you. I believe I might even heard of you through other channels when trying to go through my own connections when purchasing the materials I've needed thus far. Interesting that you would show up here. Maybe that's a sign of fortune for myself. Might help me break into more new discoveries in my line of work as a doctor.
I have several interesting medical texts that you may be interested in. I myself also practice medicine when I have the time and the inclination.
I have taken to writing a lot of my own books regarding medicine, though they follow more of the Islamic trends of medicine or line of thinking. Excuse me.
I am always interested to read these items if you have the inclination to share your work.
Yeah, we might be able to come to some kind of arrangement where you could take a look at what I have and what I've written myself.
I would be most grateful. So wonderful that you get to meet so many interesting people. Do you not think that it is, how would you say, Miss Monica, so wonderful that we get to meet so many interesting people, no?
It is certainly refreshing to see newer perspectives.
I am curious, Monsieur Sheriff or Monsignor Sheriff, if I may beg a question of you.
Absolutely.
I must admit that I find myself upset and frankly disturbed by the lawless banditry that goes on within the confines of the city proper in this riverside. I'm curious if there's a agreed upon method that the fellow Kenites have agreed to deal with this issue, or if it is still in the discussion process.
I do believe that we have combined our resources to institute a curfew and some other methods in which to combat criminality. You must understand that this court is very new. I myself have only taken on this responsibility within the last few weeks, and there has been much to do in the wake of this tragedy that, thankfully, the Merchant of Bones here all but solved. The issue of the plague and, well, those that usurped the court of Edessa.
What Gerard here is saying is true. Although it was inevitable that Edessa would have been hit by the plague. It was the plague itself was magnified by the presence of those who usurped Edessa from the previous prince, Benedictus, of an elder of Clan Cappadocian. A lot of work went into finding just how they were doing such devious activities to bring such misfortune and death to Edessa. These individuals are still at large and are very much demons upon our home here. Some hide in plain. Some are hidden in plain sight, and others, well, they are all but gone. Nowhere to be found.
As for the crime in Riverside, that is high on our list of priorities. We of the night.
Oh, bon. I am pleased to hear it. You have to understand that we feel the beat of the heart of a place. And it seems to me that these people who live in fear, well, it creates a negative environment which breeds darkness and shadows. A place like this is nothing but a canker sore from which hunters and the dispossessed will merely be disgorged in order to ravage the city whenever the cancer, whenever the cancer becomes too malignant.
Well, that is most certainly true, but we have to prioritize the infections as they come, because there are many. And they affect very different parts of this body, as you have described it.
My lordship,
Hmm.
if I may, I'm wondering if you could impart the knowledge of one who's far older than myself.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, Tim.
Oh, she asked, I was wondering if you could impart the knowledge of someone who's far older than myself. How be lacking in understanding, how would this with the situation on the other side?
Okay, I don't know about anyone else, but between you going in and out and the lilting voice, I literally didn't catch what you were asking.
Do you mind if I just say what she said, like, out of
Yeah,
character?
yeah. Do it.
All right, cool. She basically asked, like, how the curfew helps the situation.
Right.
Mhm.
Gerard simply nods and says, well, that is a fine question. We have a rather large and substantial city watch, as well as unrelated military forces, and for the time being, it is going to help that they do not have a safe place to do business during the evening hours, especially considering how violent the city had become in terms of murder in the street and whatnot. It's not a permanent measure, simply a temporary one, so we can get our bearings. It was a unanimous decision, really.
Are they talking about a curfew across the city or just in the particular area?
Across the city.
Yep, I stand by my 4 successes of not making a bitch face.
I am going to contest that.
Contest away, good sir.
Yeah,
Fuck it,
right.
I'm gonna contest. Fuck it. Even though I need, like, all successes, I don't give a fuck.
Always worth trying. Fuck it.
Because I can, hashtag going to reflexively activate all specs. Because it's reflexive. Fuck yeah.
Indeed.
Nope, as expected.
It's been so long since I've actually used all specs as a character. It reduces the difficulty by your levels of all specs, doesn't it?
Yep, I think down to a minimum of 3.
Cool. You know what? I'm going to be that bitch. I'm going to spend a willpower.
I mean, if you really wanna.
I really don't care, but it's just funny to me. Nope, I don't see shit.
It was a pretty good lack of bitch face. I'm just saying.
It was really.
Yeah, Mina's just actually looks like she's maybe listening a little more now than she was before. She's actually kind of glancing up and following the conversation.
Question, Katie. I'm sorry. I actually didn't catch. Is she a part of the group right now, or is she hanging out?
Oh, yeah. No, she's sitting there with them. She has her doggo in her lap and has been, for the most part, oh, don't mind me, just petting my doggo. Though at this point she's actually looking up and, tennis facing and paying attention.
Here was my other question. During did she introduce Yana or what?
She introduced herself. She said, "Tonight I'm Luciana, but I am Yasmina Varela."
Oh, okay.
And it's fledgling.
Okay, my bad. I just wanted to make sure what name I need to be using. That was it.
Yeah, you can use either or.
Just for the record, we would have got the meat by now, and Merchant of Bones would have. What about cutting it up into pieces and kind of like lobbing them at Alonzo?
Alonso has accepted this game. He is still being kept in her lap, but yeah, he will glance up periodically and like do the whole, snap his head up and nab it out of the air because
Yeah.
yeah, as long as it's stuff that he's getting where she can see it, Mina's not going to fuss about it.
Yep.
Like he goes pull something out of his pocket, she's going to be like, "Wait a minute now," but no, this stuff was literally just brought to the table, and it's fine, and it's not like any of the rest of them are eating. Alonso's the only one eating. Good dog, good boy. But yeah, nope, she is just paying attention and listening.
So, I am curious in that case. I heard that there were two individuals who were themselves responsible for the exacerbation of the plague. Can I ask if they have been dealt with as individuals?
They saw fit to leave us at the earliest opportunity after slaying the prince, and in the ensuing chaos, the time where there was no leadership, the sheriff had died, the prince had died, they made good their escape.
I apologize, Gerard, but that's not true. Well, it's half true. One of them resides near the fountain. She hangs out there usually during the evenings.
Your clanmate, yes. Most of them escaped.
Yes, sorry.
Well, for this bit of the conversation, go back to her little "don't mind me, just petting my doggo."
But yes, if you find yourself in the fountain, and you find a woman there by the name, I don't know if she would actually give you her name, but she might give you an alias of the Wishing Woman. Be careful. She is very powerful.
Cower not in fear of the sun, shrink not from fire. Though cursed we may be, we are the lords of the earth, and all shall fall under our dominion.
Where is that from?
Once again, my lord, that is a very old story. Out of character, do you possess anything like theology nautism?
No. No.
On a side note, that's what Ventrue told his childer.
Okay. Fair enough.
But he will say, there are many things, it would seem, that haunt Edessa's nights. Many things indeed. If you would, I will have a meeting. He'll look at Monica and he'll say, I have a meeting to introduce myself formally to the prince. I will make a request from him that we may do our best as a clan in order to aid the poor unfortunate souls in Riverside, providing them with food and, how would you say, suitable, making sure that they are given some small measure of comfort in these hard times until such time as more permanent matters and steps can be taken.
I'm certain that she will be most appreciative of that gesture.
As I said, oftentimes the people require someone to speak on their behalf, and the Bruja always feel the pain of the people very close to our hearts.
Interesting. Have you met the I don't know what his real name is, but he kind of it comes out to the Book of Love.
Abada?
I'm not too sure if that's his name. Gosh, never mind. Don't mind me. Forget it. Don't mind me.
I have not met this individual.
Hmm.
No.
Well, he is an outsider of Odessa. He came claiming that many of the poor and the downtrodden were angry, and that a uprising was inevitable. I just wondered if you shared the same fervor and such to that he has seemed to grasp onto as far as these people.
Are you asking me if I seek to fomentate rebellion?
Perhaps.
Ultimately, if the people live in happiness and contentment, there is no need to take up a sword or to wield an axe. However, if people are oppressed, if they are downtrodden, if they have fear within their hearts for their families, their loved ones, and all they hold dear, then people will fight in order to free themselves from that darkness and to stride once again forth into the light of their own contentment. I have no interest in fighting, dying in these manners. However, it is my prophecy that should things not change, then yes, the people will more than likely rise up in order to strike down what they see as those who oppress them, who treat them as if they are nothing but dirt beneath their feet. It is the inevitability. Allow me to ask you a question. He will say, are you aware of what happens when popular opinion, belief, becomes a weapon to be used against those who are considered to be oppressors when it is the slave finds out that he can strike down his master?
Let me just think for a minute. I don't believe I do. Would you indulge me?
It is in that moment when the slave knows that in his hand is his own destiny, that one movement of his wrist, one flick of the knife, and he may stride forth from his room a free man, his master comes behind him. It is in that moment that all chains, all locks, all doors, and all guards become meaningless, because a desperate man will take any action to breathe free.
Oh, very interesting. I believe I've learned something this night. This night has been a total waste.
If I may, the people, not just in Riverside, but all over, there is a certain amount of I am not going to disrespect anyone here by trying to cover this up or make it better, but at those that hold the power in the city, I am not saying this is fact. I'm just saying that I've heard their stances are. I feel as if nothing has been done to help them, or if there has, very little has been done. I understand that my opinions comparatively mean very little. However, I must state at the very least that I do worry how the common masses will respond to future events.
If you have heard such things, I would say that many do not understand the which of what they say, because the amount of work that goes into discovering what exactly is causing the plague and how to exactly stop such massive force of death is not exactly easy. And trying to put forth any effort when many people are dying by the hundreds and thousands by the day, communication and the infrastructure of the city seems to falter and almost come to a stop. I would say that they are more ignorant than anything else if you're hearing such things.
She'll nod and she'll say, I do not mean to demean or disrespect the efforts of any who reside in the city who assisted in stopping
he just holds up.
I wish to commend them.
He just holds up a hand and says there's no need to explain. It's just merely people do not understand what they don't see and understand that what effort goes behind much of what we do is in secret. There's nothing to quantify with. All they see is what they see before them every day, and that is their friends and family dying and their city failing them. But I can assure you that measures are being taken to bring Odessa back to its former glory, the one that Lucian remembers.
The city as it stands is a strange, I wouldn't say strange, it is a very complex melting pot of various faiths and cultures. And at the moment, we are doing our best to curtail possible religious strife, exacerbating the aftermath of the plague, crime that has risen, the corruption of nobility, and the plight of those in the slums. Everything is being pulled in a different direction at once. And it's going to take a great deal of effort from all of us to pull it all back into the center.
Lucian will stand up at this point. He'll kind of brush off his robes, and he'll hold out his hand for Monica to take to kind of help her up.
Oh, yeah, she'll go ahead and take it.
He will say as he stands up,
Gentlemen, Monsignor, it has been a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I have heard all that you have said, and I believe that you are both gentlemen of incredible, how would one say, verve and fervor for your duties and your tasks. I have no doubt, Adam, that it was that you had to strive in order to eradicate the plague, and I have no doubt of the difficulties I'm sure that it was to face. Such an incredible amount of death is always yields its own scent, and that scent lingers. Now then, in order to sum up our beliefs, I think I speak for both myself and Miss Cortez in this matter. Clan Bruja stand with those who stand with the people. As long as this is agreeable, we are always happy to be of help in any way that is possible.
And Merchant of Bones just nods.
It is appreciated, and it will be necessary, I think.
As I've said, I have the sense that this administration, this Princeton, does indeed represent the people's interests. So that is where we will stand. I will speak to His Highness. Out of character, the Prince male or female? I don't know.
Female.
Okay. I will speak to Her Highness on this matter when I address her myself tomorrow evening, and we will speak upon matters of our mutual interests, I am sure. But, gentlemen,
he will say, extending his hand again to both Adam and then to first to Gerard and then to Adam to kind of shake.
Mm-hmm.
He will then turn to the lovely young lady, to Luciana, and he will extend his hand to kiss her hand again.
Oh yeah, she will offer her hand for the gesture.
It has been my great pleasure meeting you, all of you. And if I may say, my lady, your dog does you great credit. He's excellently trained.
Oh, I do try. Big old toothy smile.
Feel to be smile.
He kind of looks at he'll kind of look at Monica as if you want to say your goodbyes.
Yep. She will curtsy to each person and say, "It was a pleasure and honor to meet all of you."
Likewise.
Indeed. And until we meet again, be healthy.
The two Bruja will start to walk away.
And especially as they hit any significant kind of distance, Mina will turn a glance over to the big old beaky mask. Maybe a very fleeting one to Gerard, but she doesn't necessarily expect him to interact with her at all. So there'll be a fleeting flick of a glance his way, but she'll look to the Merchant of Bones to see if he has anything he means to say before she begins the process of like, maybe if I just very slowly get myself up and walk away, no one will tell me no.
Well, Luciana, I believe this is about the time when you would feel like you would need to leave.
Well, I know
without us
my-
noticing.
Well, I know my charming company is only so well liked by some as opposed to others.
Yes, you're right. And he just finished cutting up the meat and just kind of like hands it over to her to give to El Doggo there when she's ready to give it to him. And he kind of goes about standing up and puts coins on the table to pay for everything.
Yeah, she'll offer like the palmful of bits to him because he has been a good boy and they're about to go back, so she can spoil him a bit. But as she is getting up, scooping him under one arm and offering him the palmful of food with the other, she'll glance back again. Is there any word you would like me to take back, or anything you would like me to be doing?
If you mind giving a message to Garnet, I have not seen him in a while either. I'm assuming you two been busy, which is fine. No wrongdoing there. But I will need him soon for what we talked about last regarding the slums. If you say that, he'll know what I'm talking about.
No, I have no doubt.
Otherwise, well, you be healthy too, Mina.
I do try. I'll go and see if I can police my own backyard. And with the hand empty, she will offer kind of a playful salute of sorts, and having stood herself up, will orient herself back towards Riverside.
Gerard gets up to go with Merchant of Bones.
Yeah. I wonder how the Malkavians are going to take it with the Bruja moving in on their territory for the most part. It'll be interesting to see, though, with the domains being meted out.
Creatures such as they. Who knows what they think?
I guess so. Well, shall we be off for the evening then, I guess? I'm sorry to put you through such torturous conversation and meetings. He just chuckles.
Such social rigor.
Yeah. Much more eloquently said there, yeah. And yeah, they'll be off.
As they walk through the streets, kind of, wending their way, twisting, Lucian turns to Monica and he'll stop and he'll contemplate for a moment before he'll say,
I have a question for you, child.
he will raise a finger and he will say, "This is 1." He will raise another finger. "This is 2." He will raise his thumb. "This is 3." And then he will form his hand into a fist. And he will say, "And this is many. I take it that you understand."
I didn't catch all that, but I just
he
didn't catch the very end.
he at the very end he balled his hand into a fist and he said, "And this is many. I take it that you understand."
She smiles and says, "Yes, my lord, I believe I do."
We will continue with our plans. I will speak with the prince tomorrow evening in order to put forward the address, as it were, on the matter. It will be vital that you go back to this riverside and find those families who actively wish to see themselves free of this terror in which they live, and then we will go from there.
I will begin with haste, my lord.
The stars are so beautiful, don't you think?
He will say, looking up at the stars.
She'll look up and say, "Of many things, it's not one I often ponder."
One must always ponder beauty, Miss Cortez, else life loses some of its flavor.
She'll nod to that, seeing the layers in that statement. I'm definitely not going to poke that Bruja-shaped bear.
And with that, kids, we end our scene. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another scene in Edessa, the Dark Crusade. Totally not Warhammer 40k.